This episode is dedicated to Aaron Koelman. He was a good player, a good guy, and he faced big challenges with much more grace and strength than I face my own.
I have been playing for 45 years, and we never did that back in the day. Did you? Did you really? Welcome back to the Whispering GM podcast. I'm your host, and I'm here to talk a little bit about something I've been seeing a lot on social media lately. In the OSR, there is a wide variety of play style and systems to cater to different experiences. As a result, there's a lot of different types of games that you can end up playing, even if you run by the stricter definition of the term. One of the movements at the moment, within the movement, is to try to emulate experiences using the rules that you don't typically hear about or see on a lot of actual play type presentations. Namely, reading the rules in depth and trying to apply them as written to the game. First up, to my own experience, last I was running games, I was trying to incorporate chainmail resolution. Now, I know that the alternative combat system was presented in the Little Brown Books with the intent to replace the 2d6 roll. This makes sense, because if you think about it, a fighting man with, say, three fights as three men, you're going to be rolling three sequential 2d6 rolls, and it's going to take some time. Whereas if you're throwing three d20s, you can resolve right away how many hits you got. It makes the game a lot faster to dice pool it, so to speak, and it's a lot more challenging to dice pool it when you have pools within pools. However, even throwing that to the side, there are others, like the solo dungeon crawler, whom I will link in the show notes, who have been trying to run the rules as written. I think the Basic Expert was also trying to run the rules as written with Greyhawk, and but still including the elements of chainmail where they're called for in the book. And this has been met with some degree of skepticism. So what do I mean? Well, the solo dungeon crawler goes into a great depth of how chainmail impacts the original game. So I will link to that video, and I won't try to retread the ground. But in short, we have to remember that Dungeons & Dragons was originally produced with the assumption that you knew chainmail, that you had that kind of a background. So a lot of elements of the game that we've come to for granted in BX or 1E are from chainmail. Morale. When do I roll morale? Doesn't tell you in the Little Brown Books. I actually don't think it even tells you how to roll morale. But chainmail does. Instability triggers when, based on your unit type, you need to roll a certain 2d6 or they'll flee. Simply put. Additionally, in certain melee situations, there are different types of flight. Turn sequence. In the Little Brown Books, it does not tell you to declare movement, missile, melee. That's in chainmail. So if you're playing the Little Brown Books and you do not have chainmail, you don't have that guidance. There are big elements of the game that are left to chainmail that are referenced in the book, but because the Little Brown Books were more accessible, there are a lot of folks who will say, nope, never bought it, never read it, never used those rules. On another end of the spectrum, there are some folks who are trying to explore first edition for the first time. Now, I'm not talking about any particular religious fanatics, so to speak. But I'm talking about some folks who may have been inspired, who may have heard about the game, may have seen some conversation about the game, and tried to play it. And reading the books, they're picking up on a bunch of rules that you don't hear about very often. And one that comes to mind is disease and parasites. If you are adventuring in 1st edition, there is a chance you could contract a parasite. And there's a chance that parasite could kill you. Now, that's a little harsh, but not really. A remove disease spell isn't too hard to come by, and you can get rid of it with that, especially if you're a high enough level to be hex crawling. But the point remains, nope, we never used that. Here in this DMG, there's a weapon adjustment table. Nope, never used it. Well, I lost my weapon, and I'm having to wrestle this here goblin to the ground. I wonder if there are rule pummeling and over. But no, we just rolled dice. We didn't use that rule. You didn't? Truly? Again, I'm not here to dunk on people who have been playing the same way for 50 years. But, like I mentioned, this episode is for Aaron. Aaron, to me, was a co-player. We played in a handful of BX OSC games together, and we got to know each other on Discord. Afterwards, come to find out, a lot of folks knew him from Dungeon Crawl Classics. He was huge in the Dungeon Crawl Classics community from the beginning. And that's a whole different side of the hobby. Which is a shame, because I enjoy Dungeon Crawl Classics. I ran a campaign that lasted 1.5 years in Dungeon Crawl Classics. That would have been another thing we could have done. But it's not strictly OSR. He liked DCC. He also liked BX. I like DCC. I also like BX. I also like OD&D. I also like 3rd edition. Heresy. I've had a lot of fun playing 3rd edition D&D. I've had fun playing Paranoia. I've had fun playing Traveler. Admittedly, at less fun. I'm not as big on Traveler as I was on the Star Wars D20, but that's kind of the point. I've been playing for 25 years. I have not played the same way the whole time. I've played some of the same games. I have not played the same way for 25 years. And am I trying to show off the breadth of my experience? No, of course not. No, of course not. The point is, how many people played one way, learned new techniques, new rules from new editions, incorporated those into their games, neglected parts of the game that they did not enjoy, and eventually came out the other side with their version of the game? How many of you old school Essentials players use attacks of opportunity? Attacks of opportunity are not in the rulebook. I dare you to read it. But attacks of opportunity were in subsequent editions. And there's something that people like. There's something that kind of permeates a lot of games. It's a rule that makes its way to a lot of tables. So the moral of the story, I'm curious how many people actually picked up the book in 1978, said, I will play this, this, and this, and I will not play this, this, or this, and then have subsequently lived up to their expectations. Or how many people read through, played a bit, read more, played differently, picked up the new edition, changed a little, picked up a different game, changed a little more, found something they liked, incorporated new elements, and through an organic process have come to assume that their current state is the state. How many people, as a result of continuous play, or really even not even necessarily continuous, just synchronous play. How many people, as a result of evolution of their table, have simply seen that evolution as natural, that this is the way I play, versus how many people actually never played that way? Food for thought.
Hey Taylor, Jason here. Great to hear you back on the air. Sorry that you're going through a rough patch, but we're still here. If there's anything I can do, let me know. Yeah, I'm not going anywhere, so take care of yourself, do what you have to do, and the hobby will still be here. Talk to you soon.
Soon indeed. As I am recording this response, I actually just finished and sent a call-in for your Christmas show. That said, I do appreciate the encouragement. I do appreciate the sentiment. And in the short term, I think you're right. The idea, and I think I said this last episode too, so I'm not just pulling it out of my butt, but the idea is to find out what we can do to fix the problem rather than to fixate on the problem itself. So today I was going to talk a little bit about health and how it's impacting, game life. So, listeners, if you were interested in the Where Are You Whispers part of the show and you want to hear a little bit about my health, feel free to keep listening. For folks who are here for OSR content, tune in next time. There are two big things that are hurting me right now. First off, it's my weight, and second off, it's just respiratory. So I'm not suffering anything particularly chronic regarding the respiratory problems, but man, I have just had cold after cold, flu after flu, cough after cough since July. And it's because the boys went into pre-K, and the first year of school you invariably get diseases because children are just prone to it. And some new parents will lie to you. They will tell you that the reason children get sick is because they have little immune systems that need to build up. That is a lie. I'm pretty sure that my kid would get up the next day if he got hit by a truck. The reason they get sick is because they're disgusting. True shout from the other room. I'm in here working on the computer, and I hear my wife shout, "Judah, do not lick doorknobs." There you have it. The reason kids get sick is because they're disgusting. But we're getting off topic. One of the benefits of twins is that whatever they get, we get in stereo. And so even though I may be a little bit more resistant to a cold than they would be, double exposure. And we've just been sick constantly since late July. We caught something from church just before the school year started, then the school year started, and we've caught something new essentially every week. We had a bit of a break 1 week in October there. I thought I was going to get in October. I saw our episode out. Did not happen. So, what am I doing about it? There are two main things that I have in my control. While I can't clean the doorknobs at the school, what I can do is try to protect against the effect. So I've got the twins on a multivitamin. We found the Flintstone gummies. We're getting them on a multivitamin in hopes that we're going to get them a little less sick. And we're stressing, cleaning. We have a couple songs that we sing while we wash our hands, and they really enjoy that. Now they make a giant mess. I've gone through a lot of hand soap, but I think it'll be worth it if it pays off. Secondly, I'm on myself a multivitamin. I'm trying to talk my wife into doing a multivitamin. We've got a immune support squirter for the baby. We'll see where it goes. And then the second note is I'm sleeping more. As you guys know, the primary time I got to play, whenever I got to play, was in the evenings. I haven't been playing lately, so my evenings are allegedly open. I had been wasting that a little bit. I'd been reading. I had been playing video games a little bit more than I should. And I just need to set an alarm. And I did. So I set an alarm, 9 p.m. bedtime. If I'm not in bed at 9 p.m., then I lose. I don't have a way to reinforce it, but the alarm goes off and I go to sleep. And I'm hoping, I do get up early, but I'm hoping that by getting a little bit more sleep, that it may help me get through. Now, sick kids will screw up sleep. There's only so much going to bed can do if you hear throw up noises around 1:30 in the morning, but we're going to go beyond that, and hopefully these are working in tandem, and I'll get better. And once I get a little bit better, then once those respiratory bugs go away, I'm hoping that will help with both getting back into the saddle for gaming, but also for the second part of my little health update. And so that leads into the weight problem. When we went through our second pregnancy a couple of years ago, I gained a lot of weight. Work was a little stressful, but I could not work in the middle of the day, and so I had to get on early, and I gave up my morning exercise routine. And so I went from about 190 to about 220, and I've started to get body aches and lethargy, and life is harder than it used to be. And that's something that I need to correct if I'm going to be able to really meaningfully engage the hobby, one, but really my family. So what am I doing about it? Earlier in the year, I had taken a new job. The stress level was a little lower, and I had been able to exercise a little more, and I was able to control my diet for the first time. I am not a dieter. I'm really terrible at that. In the past, if I wanted to lose weight, I had to do cardio 3 hours a day, easy. And with kids, I just don't have time to do that anymore. And so for the first time, I was succeeding at diet. I'd lost weight. I'd gotten back to where I wanted to be. And I had a running joke that my Christmas present to myself was going to be abs. Now then, that July hit, and I just can't get up in the morning. I wasn't gaming, and I was sick, and it was just hard to get up. Daylight savings has helped a little, but I'm just not back on the horse yet. And so I'm hoping that then I'll be able to get back into my workout routine. Diet, still working on it. It is remarkably hard to diet. It's remarkably hard to control calorie intake when your body's fighting bug after bug after bug. And it's something I'm trying to do. I've been good today. I was good more days than I was bad last week. Let's see if I can finish the year strong. And now it's the Christmas season, and we're eating a lot, and we got a lot of responsibilities. We had a birthday party we went to last week, and that was fun. The boys got to play. They had it on a playground. There was lots of presents and children, and it was a lot of fun. And I think we've caught a new and unique disease, but we're not going to worry about that. But it cuts into the time, and it is what it is. I'm going to try to be accountable to myself. If I can find a way to be accountable to you guys also, then maybe that'll push me to push through. But we'll see. And so those are my two problems as it comes to physical health that have been haunting me for months at this point. But who knows? Maybe this time we'll make it through. Just got nose to the grindstone, got to head down. And that brings us to the last thing that I was going to mention, and I didn't give you guys advance warning at the beginning. Mental health. Things have been great. I mentioned this like a while ago, but it hadn't changed. I'm having a hard time being interested in anything. I'm having a hard time being motivated to do anything. The baby and the boys are kind of an exception in that once we get there, I know I'm happy with them, but I'm just sitting there and it's like they want to go outside and I don't want to move, and I'd say it's rough, but it's really not. It's just gray. That's the only way I know how to describe it. It's a cloudy day that just won't go away. So what I'm hoping, I'm going to focus on the aforementioned goals. I'm going to focus on having a win this holiday. More than once over the last couple years, I've forced myself to play games. And I didn't want to I didn't want to stay up. I didn't want to log in. I didn't want to talk. But the minute I got in, I felt better about it. I wanted to be there. I enjoy the game. And I know that that love is there. I know that happy is on the other side, but it's just a challenge to overcome the reluctance, to overcome the inertia, to get out of the gray. If I can get a win with my health, then maybe the sun will come out on a silver lining. Maybe I'll get a puncture in that cloud cover. And once we get to that puncture, that's where I'm going to aim the rocket. I'm running out of allegories here. Hopefully all this makes sense. But I'm going to keep podcasting. I'm going to try to start blogging more. I'm going to force myself to be creative, but that is another episode. So I won't bore you with any more health. Thank you for sticking around to this point. And for those of you who may still be in the dungeon, don't lick the doorknobs. And that wraps up this episode of the Whispering GM podcast, an independently operated product released for educational and informative purposes under the Totally Steal This license. Some sound effects are retrieved from Mixkit.co and used under the Mixkit.co royalty-free music license. Others are retrieved from Pixabay, made available under the Creative Commons 0. Theme music is Raw Power, licensed through PlayOnLoot.com. Parties interested in or with questions regarding the podcast are encouraged to reach out via the methods provided on the Clearing Swear Ring Mail blog. Thank you for listening, and delve on.